troubles and problems that we're, just I don't know that we're getting accustomed to them or whatever it is, but it's evident that we see them every day that we live. Tonight, just a little bit of a thought that we're going to share with you, and that is, and I can't figure why that there's not more people in, being concerned about their eternity. But my thought tonight is seek him while he can be found. And we look across the congregations of churches, and it would be great after this thing is kind of opened back up to see sinner people begin to kind of flock into the house. And I kind of, that was my perception when this thing kind of all came into existence. Not saying that it was going to have the impact that 9/11 had on the nation, but I was still anticipating that there would be people that says we need to make some decisions about eternity on this thing, simply because of all the stuff that's going on, that we need to kind of, put things in perspective, basically. But I'm looking across, and it don't seem like that there's a whole lot of interest out of the sinner people. They're just going on just like, like things is going to, where's the promise of his coming? Maybe their logic, we've heard that since we was first got saved, and even before, that the Lord's coming, the Lord's coming, the Lord's coming, and we only emphasize that more today simply because we just see that so many things, just the signs and stuff is pointing to his coming, and we just reflect to that. And I think that the sinner people has just kind of kicked it into the can and says, where is that promise? We've heard that since our fathers fell asleep. Things is continuing as they are. But I'll just tell you, they're not continuing as they are or as they were. When I was a youngster, things was not this way, and I can relate to what it was. But seek him while he may be found. You think about, I said, so many people that has had an opportunity that since the doors has kind of come back open to churches and all across the country, not only just in their little community here, but kind of nationwide. They've had the opportunity to kind of come back in and have in-house service. That's what we're going to call it. I don't know. Surely to goodness people didn't enjoy the online services better than they do the in-house services. It didn't have the same effect to me, but I said it was still kind of getting the word out to the congregations, that we'll hold on, we'll get through this, we'll come back together for too long. But I said so many people that is kind of neglecting. My thought is seeking him while he can be found. If I'd have been alive and in the community of Jerusalem or that nation over of Israel, and I heard that Jesus was coming through my little town, I think I would have, even if I'd have not been a sinner, if I'd have, not confessed that he was the Son of God yet, I think my curiosity would still yet have caused me to want to go see who this is, that there's so much, you just look at how much stuff was taking place in these communities. I mean, everywhere that he went about doing good. He healed people of all manner of diseases and sickness and all sorts of problems, raised people from the dead. We just, there were just so many things that he was done. So curiosity would have kind of had a draw to me while he was, and my point that I'm going to bring to us tonight is the curiosity of a man was so great that he had to go check him out to see who it was. And this man was Zacchaeus. You know how this story unfolds. His curiosity was so amazed on him that he said, I've heard about this Jesus, but I've got to see him. I want to see him for myself. And I said, I can relate to kind of what he was going through, because I said if he would have come through the little Mount Vernon community and we'd have been here in the county, I think I would have made a point somehow or another to got up there to see this man that is doing such miraculous things in the nation, and just to hearing all the events and all the stories. And this is how Zacchaeus put it into a context. And it said, and Jesus entered in passing through Jericho, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which is a chief among the publicans. And listen to what else he was. He was rich. So I can relate back to the rich man that came to Jesus. Good master, what can I do to be saved? Or how am I going to do this? And he began to tell him, you've got to keep all the commandments. You've got to do all the things that, that the scripture kind of tells you to do. And he was saying, well, I've done that since I was a youngster. Just being, kind of, I guess, patting himself on the back. And he said, one thing that you lack, he said, you sell everything that you got, give it to the poor, and come and follow me. And he said that this man went away sorrowful in his heart. Why? Because he had great riches, is what it said. Zacchaeus sounds to me like that he was a applicant that was saved because of not the wealth that he had, because it said he'd give it. And how hardly could a rich man enter into the gate? He said it would be easier for the camel to go through the eye of the needle than it was for this rich man to enter in. And if we're thinking about the needle that sews your clothes together, then it's impossible. But there was actually a spot there that came into the city of Jerusalem that was called the eye of the needle, and the camel could bow down and I guess and crawl through that thing on its knees or whatever they had to do. But it was possible, basically, because if it was impossible for a rich man to get saved, Zacchaeus didn't have a chance. Simply because it's stated right here that Zacchaeus, not only was he a chief publican, but he was also a rich man. He had great wealth. And this is how he done it. And he sought, desired, just absolutely was intrigued. He said this is what he done. He sought to see Jesus on who he was. Curiosity, basically, is why he was curious about this. This Zacchaeus was, a rich man. I'm sure that he could have had somebody go out and bring me a report on who this Jesus is. But instead of that, he said, I want to see it for myself. And when am I going to get to be able to do it? When he comes through my community, when he comes by. When he's in another country or he's in another community way away, it's not going to be available. So people needs to seek the Lord while he is available, while he can be found, while he's dealing with your hearts, when we need to seek the Lord. So Zacchaeus said, I want to see who he is. But he was also had some, I guess, some physical characteristics about him, and he said he could not for the press because he was a little in stature. And I know that a lot of people gets made lightly of because they can't do that, but Zacchaeus didn't let that bother him. He said, I'll fix that. He was little in stature, and the crowds that Jesus was coming down through the communities, no doubt it was, like some of the major events that we see in parade days and different things, that there's a press, and they, people that's in the back just hears the noise. They don't get to see what's going through. But this is what he was saying, I'm going to do. He said, I want to see him, but he said, I'm small. I can't see over the tops of these people. And this is how he said, I'm going to figure out his plan. I'm going to figure out the strategy on where he's going. He was coming through Jericho, and I said, Jericho had some issues, to say the least. You hear a lot of things about what Jericho done and all the different things it was, but he said, I'm going to kind of figure out the way that he's going, and I'm going to run ahead of this crowd. And this is what he done. When he went ahead of the crowd, he said, and he ran before me and climbed up in a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. Kind of had a layout of his route, and he said, I'm going to make a point to get to where I can see who this Jesus is. And this was, his curiosity was the only thing he was doing. He was just trying to satisfy something that he said, I want to see who this Jesus is, basically. I don't know that he was realizing what the outcome was going to be, but he said, I just want to get in the position up on some sort of a escalated point, then I can look down and see who Jesus is, and I'll climb down out of the tree, and I'll go back to the house, and my curiosity will be amended, and I won't have to wonder who this Jesus was because I've seen him for myself. But this story changed dramatically. He was thinking that he was just going to see who he was, but you listen to what it was when Jesus came on down the trail, on down the way that he was coming into his destination he was doing. And this is what he said, that when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and he saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste, come down, for today I must abide at thy house. Changed his plan dramatically. He just thought that he was going to be up there on the limb of that sycamore tree. When the crowd got on by there, I'll claw back down off of this tree and I'll go back to the house. But Jesus Christ saw Zacchaeus and knew what his heart was. He wanted to see him. He had a desire that he wanted to see the Lord while he was passing by. So his curiosity got him into another realm with Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ himself looked up in the tree, and Zacchaeus knew him by name. Come down out of that tree because today I'm going to your house. And I want to see and just kind of spend a little bit of time with you, Zacchaeus. You know what, sinner people that's out in this world today, Jesus is still reaching up and said, I'd like to come to your house. Where is your house? It's right here. I mean, this is the house that he abides with me. So he said, Zacchaeus, I want to come to your house. Not realizing that he was talking about the dwelling where he occupied, but he also wanted to come into this house, in Zacchaeus' house right here. Zacchaeus, make haste. I need to come to your house today, for today I must abide at thy house. And he made haste. He came down, and he received him joyfully. Sought him while he could be found. I'll just tell you, he made a point. The curiosity that he had just overwhelmed him, that I've got to go to see who this Jesus Christ is. I wish that this sinful, sinner-filled world of ours would get curious once again and want to know who this Jesus is. If they would only begin to call upon him, and I'll just tell you, to make arrangements while he can yet be found. If people would do that, I'll just tell you, you're talking about an outbreak of this thing. I mean, this could have a dramatic impact upon the world if they only would call upon the name of the Lord while all this stuff is taking place. But it seems like that they're just pushing it away, walking away from it. And it's unfortunate. It's so tragic. Zacchaeus, come down, make haste. And he come down out of the tree, and when he did, he was overwhelmed that Jesus acknowledged him and said, I'm going to go be at your house today. Needless to say, that didn't sit well with a lot of the people that knew who Zacchaeus was, tax collector, and he was not the most popular man on the block. I'm sure that he wasn't, simply because of his occupation that he had, but still yet, there were some complainers that was there, but they should have been overjoyed that Zacchaeus had accepted the Lord, and he called him down there and said, let me come and abide in your house today. And they saw it, they all murmured, saying, he is gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. That's where he come to my house. I don't know about your house, but that's what I was when I come down to an altar of prayer and I asked him to come to abide with me. I was a sinner. I don't know whether people complained about it or not, but I knew who I was. Zacchaeus knew who he was, and these people knew who Zacchaeus was too. This man is a sinner. Why in the world are you going to go to be at the sinners? And you got all these good Christian people here, followers of you. That why don't you go home with them? We'll find out just in a minute why he didn't. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Lord, and here's where this rich man could have made it if he'd only abided by what Zacchaeus' thought was. Lord, behold, the half of my goods, I'm going to give them to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusations, I'm going to restore him fourfold. He had a change of heart, folks. I'll just tell you. You talking about, I don't know about you, but when I come and got saved, I had a change of heart too. There was changes that took place in my life, the things that we used to do, the verbiage we used to speak, all the different things we used to do. And this is how Zacchaeus was putting it into perspective. He said, I'm a changed man. I'm automatically going to give half of everything I got to the poor. I don't think that I'm going to need that much of it to sustain me. I'll still have plenty to keep my life active. And he said, but if I've cheated or if I've done anybody wrong, I'm going to restore them way yonder more than what I took from them. If I've realized, and I can go back and check all my paperwork and see all the things that I've got a record of it. And he said, if I've done anything by false accusation or done it illegal, I'm going to restore them not only what I got from them, but I'm going to do it 4 times greater than this. And here's how that Zacchaeus had such a dramatic change in his life. Zacchaeus, I said, went up there out of his curiosity, just wanting to see who this Jesus that there was so much talk about. I'm curious on who it was. And he had a heart transition. I'll just tell you, there was a change made in Zacchaeus' life so dramatically. He said, I'm going to give half of my goods to the poor. I'm going to restore the people that I've done wrong. I'm going to restore them fourfold. And you listen to how Jesus, just hearing the testimony, sitting at Zacchaeus' table. No doubt they was just sitting around sharing some stories. I mean, it don't go into detail about what it was, but he said, come down. I'm going to abide at your house today. But him and Jesus had some conversations, and this is what Zacchaeus was given what my plan is for you, and this is how I'm going to change my life, Jesus, if you'll. And this is what Jesus Christ told Zacchaeus wherever the conversation was going on. And he said unto him, this day is salvation come to this house. Salvation come to his house simply because of the curiosity that he had. He sought him while he could be found, while he was passing by. And I'll just tell you, Jesus has passed by a lot of sinners, and they've turned their back and walked the other way. But I'll just tell you, Zacchaeus, his curiosity got him to the point that salvation come to his house that day. And you're talking about a change in a man's life, how dramatic it must have been to say, and for as much as he also is the son of Abraham. Zacchaeus was accepted into the family of God through the commitment that he made and his curiosity that he had for him. Out of this, salvation came to Zacchaeus' house. And I'll just tell you, the people that was complaining and murmuring about him going home with a sinner, this is telling why Jesus Christ himself came from the throne of God. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. That was the purpose that Jesus Christ came. He came to get Zacchaeus out of that tree. He was a sinner. Jesus Christ said, I come to seek and to save that which was lost. And folks, I'll just tell you, he's still passing by. People would only give just seek after him while he can still yet be found. And I don't know how that this, what's it going to take to change sinner people to realize that there is a need that they've got in their life. Does people not think about eternity, or is it just my perception that people is under the impression that they're going to live forever? They are, unfortunately, but I said the place that you're going to live is going to be the option that you decide about. So I don't know what the people is thinking about eternity. You know, when are they anticipating that we're just like a dog when we die, we just vanish away? I mean, I don't know. You know, I'm curious about why people is not seeking the Lord while he can still yet be found right now. I'll just tell you, it's going to be tragic when that trump of God sounds and we are called out of here. Who's going to be there to help them? I know that we've got people that is under the perception that, you know, there's going to be a lot of people saved, and I pray that they are. But I'll just tell you, folks, they need to call on the Lord while he can be found right now. There's going to be a lot of chaos when the Lord comes back and the church is caught up and pulled away from this thing. And it'd cost you your life, which wouldn't be much of a sacrifice for eternity, but still yet, I think right now would be the best time to call upon the name of the Lord. And again, I'm so concerned about why that people is not taking this thing seriously. And I alluded to it just a few minutes ago. Some of you younger folks barely can probably remember when 9/11 even took place. But shortly thereafter, church houses would pack out. You had to just about get a ticket to get into a sanctuary, into a church house across this country. And people cried out to the Lord, and simply because of the one act, the one day that changed the nation so dramatically, and just thought that it was going to, you know, cause an outbreak of people staying faithful and true to the Lord. But it seemed like just in a short time, it kind of, you know, it lost a lot of its glitter, and it lost a lot of its, the people that had even come to the houses of the Lord and cried and prayed. They just kind of begin to drift back out into the world. But it seems like this is not even having an impact on sinner people. I can't relate to what it is what it would take today, but still yet, folks, we need to continue. Us as Christian people need to continue to lift up the name of the Lord. I know that we can put this into a couple of different perspectives. Jesus Christ made this statement: "If I'll be lifted up, I'll draw all men to me." Well, now he was lifted up on the cross, and he drawed men to him. But I'll just tell you, we can also lift him up today. we can tell people about Jesus Christ, and that, that should be our main focal point, is tell me the story of Jesus, what he done for us, how he gave his life, how he sacrificed himself, how God loved us so much that he sent him down here to do this very thing. Jesus Christ said, I come to seek and to save that